and welcome back to Elle the Law Student. It has been a really long time since I uploaded anything at all, and that's just because ever since I got back to Oxford this term, life has been insane. Just uni work and personal things, and yeah, everything's been absolutely crazy. So I've just not been able to do anything kind of extracurricular, basically, which is such a shame because I really love making these videos and I really like answering everybody's questions. But hopefully for the rest of term now, I should be able to kind of produce a little bit more content. We'll see. So if you're new here, my name's Elle. I am a third year, which is terrifying. I'm a third year law student at Worcester College, University of Oxford. I went to a comprehensive school near Sheffield, and my kind of goal is to just bust some myths about Oxford, higher education in general, and studying law. One of my most popular videos on my channel, especially last year, was my Oxford University room tour. So the important thing to know is that accommodation will vary according to your college. So if you go to Oxford or Cambridge, you'll be a member of the university, but you're also a member of a college. So I'm a member of Worcester College, and Worcester provides accommodation for all 3 years of my course, which is fantastic because it meant that I didn't have to do any house hunting, didn't have to deal with any private landlords. It was all good. So this is my third year living in college. There are some sort of bits of accommodation that aren't within the college grounds, but where I am is still within the college grounds, but it is kind of a little bit further away from the main centre. Worcester's a pretty big college in terms of like how much space it has. So we're not right in the centre, a bit on the edge, which is quite nice, especially at the moment because it's just a bit mad. So the way that Worcester accommodation works is it's on a grading system. So you have grade 1, which is the most basic accommodation, it's also the cheapest, and you have grade 6, which is the most expensive accommodation, and it's also where you're going to have things like a kitchen and an ensuite. I should point out, for the past 2 years I've actually been in grade 6 accommodation. This is a grade 6 accommodation because I have a kitchen and an ensuite. And last year, if you watched my room tour last year, you'll see that I also had a kitchen and an ensuite. When I was in my first year, I was in grade 2 accommodation, so I had a shared bathroom and no access to a kitchen. But even though the grade 6 accommodation is the more expensive accommodation, there's two kind of points. First of all, sort of such a large proportion of accommodation in Worcester is grade 6, and also secondly, even grade 6 accommodation is a lot cheaper than my accommodation would have been at other universities. So one of the reasons for that is that we don't pay for the time that we're not here. We only have 3 8-week terms a year. Yeah, we only have 3 8-week terms a year, so we only pay for 24 weeks a year, which is literally half sort of the tenancy length that you are generally looking at other halls of residence and university accommodation. So it meant that at least for the past 2 years my loan covered my accommodation costs, which was fantastic. This year my loan hasn't quite covered my accommodation costs, simply because when you're a third year you also are expected to stay over Easter, so there's an extra few weeks there, and they spread that cost out across the sort of full year. I just thought I would kind of very quickly go through that because I know that whenever my parents, for example, tell anybody that their daughter goes to Oxford, the first thing that they say is, God, that must be really expensive, and that's just not the case. In fact, I've got no idea how I would have been able to afford to go to university somewhere else, because not only is there so much financial support and they kind of supplement a lot of the costs, but they have things in place like 8-week terms and you only pay for the time that you're here. So without further ado, I will take you on a quick tour around my room. It is dark, which, to be fair, because it's November, it is dark all of the time. So hopefully I'll be able to kind of sort out the lighting, sort of. Okie dokie, so when you walk into my room, you have the wardrobes over here that I'm not going to open because they're probably a state, and then you have my ensuite here. Then over here I've got my bookshelves. Something that I really like about this room is that There's a decent amount of space for bookshelves. I've just got too many books to put on them. So I've got some folders here, label law textbooks, many textbooks, statute books here, which is just things that have got like all the legislation that I need, revision guides, many other textbooks, and recipe books. I really like cooking and these are really useful. This is my makeup bag, makeup brushes. I have no idea what they're doing there. Then down here I've got my little tea corner. I do drink quite a lot of loose leaf tea, but I've left it in the kitchen. Yeah, not too exciting there. I ordered these lights online. They're just like curtain lights, and at the top they're held up by command hooks. Tilly gave me some command hook things, and I'd already got a few, but they were absolutely ideal for helping me with stuff like this. Then this is my bed. I've got a giant Percy pig, which is absolutely lovely. Cade's parents bought me this for my 21st birthday and it's the softest, most lovely thing ever. I've got my like little nightstand thing. Please ignore my contact lens case. This I think was potentially in my video last year, but I don't know. This is so like convenient because it's a little jewelry box thing here, but also I can put my phone on here to charge at the end of the day. It's really handy. I'm recording stuff here, but that's not normally here, like that's just because I've been recording. I've got my little succulents. So this is so cute. I got this from The Garden in Oxford. It's a shop in the Covered Market called The Garden, but it's pink. How sweet is that? So I have these little succulents. I don't know what that one's doing. That one's not looking too good, but the other two are looking okay. These were a present from my parents at the beginning of term. I do really like this little area of my room because of the fairy lights, and I've got a chair there that I've put a blanket over and can just sit there with a cup of tea. There's a apex window and it's really nice. Over here I've got a massive yoga ball. Sort of everybody in my household has been using yoga balls recently instead of desk chairs, because we were just destroying our posture sitting at a computer all day. It's actually such an amazing tip. Like 10 out of 10 would recommend using a yoga ball rather than a desk chair. All of the rooms in Worcester at the moment have mini fridges, I'm pretty sure, but I don't use mine because I don't need to. I actually bought these little signs from Card Factory. I think they were £1 each, but I just thought they were the cutest little things. Like, I just think they're so sweet. And these are also held up by some clear command hooks. Then along here, I've just got some photos, some cards, and some more fairy lights, obviously. Over here, I've got a little corkboard that I just put reminders, stuff like that on. I've also put these drawing pins in and I hang up my masks. And then my lovely friend Delphine made me this for my birthday. It's so sweet. So that's hanging up there as well. Over here I've got more folders, and I've also got a printer. A printer's definitely not an essential for uni, but because I bought one in lockdown because Kate and I were living on our own and I needed to print things, like I did bring it with me, but definitely not an essential. Here I've got my wall calendar. I just like to put classes on here and big events like end of term, beginning of term, that kind of thing. Here I've got a monitor. So I've just got a cable connecting my laptop and my monitor so that I can have two screens up. Normally I'll have like a PDF of a case on one screen and then be typing on the other. This is the world's biggest bottle of hand sanitizer. But it smells really lovely and it's great because I think everyone's quite stressed at the moment. I've got a little Bluetooth speaker here, my pencil case, which I think is the cutest thing ever. It's so sweet. And then I just picked, so this was from TK Maxx. This was from Wilko, I'm pretty sure. I have a little clock here because I like to use the Pomodoro technique. which if you don't know is where you study for a certain amount of time and then take a break and then keep repeating that pattern. Again, this magazine rack was from Wilko. This here is a book stand and it is so useful. This is my mouse. This is the Logitech Pebble mouse. Would recommend, really good. It's a mouse. This is my like to-do list. To be honest, the main thing I use this for is for meal planning. At the beginning of the week I will meal plan and then I will go out and buy the ingredients for those meals. This is my keyboard. This is also a Logitech keyboard. So I thought I would just switch the lights out and show you what it looks like with all the fairy lights on. One of my favourite things to do is during the day I'll just use like the big lights in the room, big lights, just like the main lights, and sunlight if there is any, but then at night I will turn my fairy lights on. And I think especially because I have no choice really but to work in my room, it's made such a big difference because it feels like a different place when you switch around the lighting, and yeah, it's a lot nicer.